So with that, I'm going to stop sharing here and ask Patrick, you to share your screen and show the Pong game and explain the project you've done. So if you are ready, Patrick, let's get ahead into our first presentation today, the Pong game.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so good morning. I'm Patrick Hohola. I'm a junior here at New Mexico State University, and the project me and Rick came up with, I don't know if he's in the Zoom right now, but we just wanted to do a simple Pong-like Atari game, all generated in Python using the turtle package to create simple graphics. So let me get this running real quick. All right, so this is like the starting menu. This took me so long to get, but I'm so proud of it. And it's just a simple button to start the game. And then the controls are WS for the left side, and then the up and down arrow for the right side. And then if you miss, the score tracker at the top keeps track of who missed and who's winning. So yeah, I can get into the code aspect real quick. So this function right here, def start, it creates that starting screen you see at the start of the game when I run the program. It just basically creates a whole screen, and I did it in a way where I could create a button, and it was that start button you saw. And once you click this button in this function, it executes self.play, and this is basically the game method. And this line of code right here creates the board using a turtle, like I said before, the turtle package. This block of code here creates the left block, and then the right block, the ball. And then down here, we have our movement methods that we need to use to be able to control our different blocks. And once we have these methods down, we can bind them to actual keys to our screen right here. So as you can see, this one is binded to the W key. The down is binded to the S key. And then for the right block, the up arrow is bounded to the right block going up. And then the F key is to reset if you ever wanted to just reset the ball. And then down here is how the movement works, and this algorithm detects the collisions, the borders, and ball positioning. So while true, it's gonna update the board every time this executes. So that's what gives it movement. This block of code creates the parameters for the top border, and this is pretty. When me and Rick first started doing this, and I had to start debugging it, it was I've never done anything like game wise in code before. I've only done like algorithms and just basic programs, and this is the first time I really took a step into game building. So it was just really hard to see everything in like terms of pixels and what the movement should be when a collision is hit, like the slope it should make, like right here, the dy. The bottom border, if it hits the bottom border, it reverses direction with the dy. So it's more math based than I would have thought, and just visualizing the pixels was just a task, but I got it to work. Me and Rick got it to work. And then this one right here is the right border, and then if it misses, it updates the score. And then it does the same thing for the left border. And then down here is the code for the collisions with each, like the blocks or the paddles. And this one is also hard to visualize because you just gotta just use the pixels and just see where the gaps are and how you want the game to flow. And you wouldn't think it would be that intensive, but yeah. But yep, this is my code, our code. And that's about it.
Awesome. Great job, Patrick. Any questions from our guests for Patrick?
Sorry, I was on mute again. Patrick, this is Pat and Rick, actually, both. I want to congratulate you both for writing such nice looking code. And it is genuinely nice looking code. And I'll be honest, I've seen commercial code which doesn't look so nice. So like,
Thank you.
yeah. And unfortunately, the way I look at it is I look at how well the code is written, so how it can be updated. And something I will chat about with in my talk to a certain extent. Tell me something, just as a joke. You've demoed it well. It works fine. We saw that it all works. But clearly, there must be a couple of situations where it doesn't quite bounce right. Do you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
There's definitely a lot of work to be done. Especially with the paddles.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to have time to limit their movement to keep them in the borders because you have to keep track of that as well.
Yes.
So the paddles just move off the screen if you wanted to or wherever. So that would be definitely a place I would need to work and just get better at it basically. But it was a first attempt, and I'm pretty proud of what came out. But yeah, there's definitely for sure improvement that needs to be made.
That's good. And one of the skills in the commercial world, again, I will say this as a joke, is that you just know where it fails so that you don't like just go close to it during the demo. Very useful life skill to learn. Anyway, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. No, that's great. And this is also Patrick. This is the first time he's using the Turtle environment. For most of the course, we used Google Colab because it's an easy environment for anyone learning Python to get started. So venturing out of that and doing something on his machine and doing it with a different environment also is kudos to that. So great job, Patrick. Continue your quest. Continue writing more programs. Share the burden of making a program with your friends so that you learn more from students. So great job. Keep at it. And this looks great. Awesome.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick, do you have anything you want to add to the project? Any thoughts, conversations? If you can't talk, you can use chat as well.
Hi. Yeah, so Patrick's basically the whole reason why that code looks so good. Thank you so much for working on that. Also, hello everyone. I'm Rick. I'm sorry for missing the first part of, basically the entire presentation. But hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. No worries.
Patrick did a really awesome job cleaning up the code and debugging. I'd also really like to continue working on this. I think implementing a starter menu might be a cool a thing to try and work on. Putting in different modes, different player modes, and yeah, also figuring out that the paddle thing. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, and one of the things I also want to mention is like, well, we did and code quality and the way the code looks is important. In class, we if you guys remember, we talked a lot about PEP 8 and like, the Python conventions. So, I'm really happy also that you guys are able to take that and kind of implement it in the way you name your classes, the way you name your methods, so on and so forth, right? There's always room for improvement in that. So, and as Rick was saying, there's always more features and functions you can add. So keep at it. If there is anything interesting you guys do a couple months down the line, share it with the class, use the Discord and show your new program. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll move on to the next presentation. It is Password Manager, and that's Genesis and Moises. Go ahead, guys. If you want me to present, please let me know as well. So go ahead. Great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Moises. So, hello, everyone. My name is Genesis Bejarano. And I'm just waiting for Moises to get on the microphone.
Sorry, my mic was being a little weird. And I'm Moises Cantoran.
And so we decided to create a password manager program. And we wanted to build something that we could use practically in our lives. And as I was thinking of something that I could use practically, I was thinking of the way that I store my own passwords. And so I store my passwords on my phone on the notepad. It's locked, but I know it's not practical. But I didn't really do a lot of research on other websites or apps that I could use this password manager. And frankly, I didn't really trust them that much. I still don't trust them that much. So I kind of wanted to just dive into the code and see what it takes to encrypt it and to organize it and all that good stuff. And I know there are many password managers, like Google Chrome and iPhone actually has their own built-in password manager function in the phone, but I always feel like with any kind of program or any technology, there's always maybe some type of way to improve it. So I was just curious about the process. And now Moises is just going to demonstrate what we came up with.
All right. Let me make sure can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, let me run it for us here. All right, so the first thing we have to do when using it is creating a key. So we want to create, sorry, I put in the wrong number. We want to hit 1 to create our encryption key. So this is just creating our encryption key. We can name it whatever we want. I'm just gonna hit test key.key for now. Then we want to load this key. Load it real quick. And then we want to create our own password files, our own text file, basically, that stores all of our passwords and emails and so forth. So let's call it my pass. And then we want to load this file. Uh-oh, did I type that in wrong?
Oh, my passwords.
Oh, yeah, I typed it in wrong. Hold on. Sorry about that. I tested it earlier and everything was working fine. It's always when I'm presenting that it always has to mess up here. So maybe
You didn't pray to the demo gods.
yeah. I was gonna create a video for this part, but I just wanted to be more interactive with it. But I'm not too sure why it's giving me issues here.
I think it's my passwords, like not just my pass.
Hold on, let me just load the key real quick. And then now my password.
I think there's an S at the end at my passwords.
Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Then I'll have to
Here,
go
let me type it in the
plan.
chat.
I'm about to go to plan B. So it's cool. I can just do it from the
Okay.
little snippet that I got here. So this is how it's supposed to work. I'm not too sure why. Well, I need to debug a little further here. But you're supposed to, create your encryption key. Then you load your encryption key by doing option 2. Then option 3 will create your password text file. Then option 4 is going to load said file. And then option 5 is to add a new password to the file, and then it'll encrypt it back into it. And then option 6 is to get those passwords. So down here, you can see that for option 6, I typed in Instagram and it gave me my Instagram password. It's all hypothetical right there. And then let me show our code now. So very simple at the very beginning, just importing our libraries. We're using cryptography as the encryption-based library to encrypt all of our text files and so forth. And then we made a function called create_key. It's just creating our key and storing it in a specific file. And then lastly, we also made load_key, which is just loading the key so that you can use it to decrypt our file. And then now passing it on to Genesis for the rest of the function.
Thank you very much. So here we have 2 other functions, one to create the password file and the other one to load the password file. In the first function, it creates the file for the passwords and it sets the path where they will be saved. And then underneath that is an if statement that lets the user write the password into the file. And then the other function, it does a couple things. It locates the path of where the passwords are, and then it opens it into reading mode. And then it uses the already made password file and loads the password. And then after it's been decrypted, it shows it to the user if they want to see it. And then we have a couple of other functions. We have add password and get password. The add password adds the password into the password file that's been made previously. And then to do that, it opens the file in appending and reading mode. So it doesn't erase what's in the file and then adds to it. It just adds to what's already there. And then after you've entered the key in the beginning, it'll encrypt the newly inputted password and saves it to the file. And then the get password function retrieves the password for the user after it's been loaded in. And then towards the end here, we have our main function, which we kind of inputted our own websites and passwords to test out the code to see if it was working, and you can retrieve the passwords. And then we have a menu for the user to kind of pick and choose what they want to do. And following that, we have an if-else statement with each choice. It calls the function accordingly. And then Moises is just going to talk about what we hope to add to the program in the future.
All right. So first off, definitely wanted to add to our little future list here that debugging further, because I swear this morning when I tested it out, everything was working fine, but I'm not too sure what I did wrong. But definitely, we also want to integrate our program into the web, just so that way we can use multiple devices, and then also create a better user experience. So maybe creating a login, like a username and password, so that way they can just log in and their encryption keys automatically loaded and so forth. Because right now, our pathing, you have to you could see my pathing was very you had to put in specific keywords and so forth. So definitely improving that whole experience would be a great addition to this. Another thing is just the ability to view the entire list. At the moment, we're only limited to searching each individual website for their password and retrieving it. So definitely being able to see the entire list in alphabetical order would definitely be a great addition as well. And then lastly, probably improving our encryption / security, because I feel like most people that are very experienced in this field would know how to get to our encryption key and so forth, especially with our code being so simple. But yeah, that's basically it. Just want to thank everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Great job. Any questions from our guests?
My question is, this is an interesting choice of encryption, and the only reason I'm a little bit familiar with the Fernet and cryptography.fernet program. What was the process that you guys used in selecting this encryption scheme?
So we did a lot of research. So I wasn't really very familiar with a lot of these things. So I just did a lot of research and just kind of looked up how just the basic encryption processes and just kind of watched the YouTube video on how to do it. I wouldn't say I'm very familiar with it still, but I just figured out like the functions and kind of how to use them.
Right. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys, and thank you for working on the code as well. It looked great. You picked up Pythonic names for your functions, so that's great. So keep up. And one great way to kind of maybe add a web feature for something like that, or integrating that, is kind of maybe consider using Flask, or maybe kind of doing a little bit of JavaScript, so you could kind of make this work as a Google Chrome add-in or something like that. Okay, great, awesome.
Definitely.
Thanks. So awesome. Next up is Amin and Raylan with Conversion Calculator.
Yeah, let me just share my screen. Are you guys able to see?
Yeah, we are.
All right. So, give me 1 second. All right. So my project was the conversion calculator. So basically what it is the program is a conversion calculator that asks the user for whichever conversion option they choose, and based on the option, a piece of information is going to be collected by the user and output for the correct conversion. And for example, the conversions that I had on here was going to be Celsius to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Celsius, Roman numerals to numbers, and then numbers to Roman numerals. And then the original reason I wanted to do this project while I was learning C++, it was kind of a project that I had in the back of my mind, but I never find the time to do. So I found out I could just do it in Python and then broaden my skills in this language as well. And then I guess really the motivation or the problem that this program addresses is it could just be a helpful tool for conversions. Instead of using a Google or a search engine, you could just like kind of write one yourself. And then I'll go ahead and share the thing really quick. So if I run it, it gives you one of three options. It's going to be, the first one is going to be Roman, which converts Roman numerals to numbers. Then number, which converts numbers to Roman numerals, or Celsius. So if I choose on Celsius, it'll ask for a temperature. Well, I'll just put in maybe 60 degrees. And then this is enter the unit in Celsius or Fahrenheit. So if I'll enter the units if I'll enter the unit in Celsius, it'll convert it to Fahrenheit, and if I enter in Fahrenheit, it'll convert it to Celsius. So I'll put 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and then based on the equation, it calculates it, which is equal to 15.5555 degrees Celsius. Then we can run it again, and I'll show you the second part. So if I enter a Roman numeral XXVII, and then it converts it to 27. So in the program, there were three major functions, which were essentially the backbone of the code, which was the function for converting the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then Fahrenheit back to Celsius. and then the functions for converting Roman numerals to numbers and then numbers back to Roman numerals. And then in this program, I made use of if statements as well as while and for loops. And then the if statements help me with conditionals, and based on what the user responded, it kind of pointed the program in which way to go and to keep moving. And then the while and for loops were not needed for the temperature conversion because that was just a simple mathematical equation. But for the Roman numerals to numbers and numbers to Roman numerals, they were needed because we needed to iterate through the characters of the Roman numerals, because the Roman numerals were they were strings and not integers. And then converting those from strings to integers, we needed the while and for loops. And then inside the loops, it first checked if the current character and the next character form a valid Roman numeral that maps to a value in the list. And then the list would just be right here for the Roman numerals, where I set M to 1000, CM to 900, D to 500, CD to 400, and so on in the Roman numeral form. And then if that value did, or if the Roman numeral did map to a value in the list, the program adds the corresponding value of the Roman numeral to the variable num, which was also in that function, and increments I by 2. And then towards the end of the code, I called all the functions and used some user output just to have everything run smoothly. And then future possibilities on unfinished work. I believe that a lot could be done to make this program better and more efficient. And some things including adding input validation, and then just like one huge while true loop, just to have an option for the user to either repeat or quit the program. And then I would also want it to be more readable and maybe add some comments, because usually when I'm coding by myself, I'll just tend to try to write everything out as fast as I can and then not write any comments. And then another thing is that I did want to add some more conversion methods, like maybe pounds to kilograms or inches to centimeters, but I was having some problems getting everything together and having it run. So maybe in the future I'll be able to. And then if you guys want to look at the program one more time, I'll run it. So this time we'll do number. If I enter a number like 35, and there it is. And that's going to be it. Any questions?
This is great. Our judges and guests, any questions?
I don't have a question, but actually a comment about something that you mentioned in passing, and and the comment is about writing comments in the code, and even mentioning the fact that when you're writing code on your own, you just tend to write it.
Yeah.
And as much as coding is fun solo, it is also more fun when it's a collaborative exercise. And when it is collaborative, then surely you want to make life as easy for your coworkers as you can. So thank you very much for pointing that out. You will be surprised how often we have to point that out, even in the commercial space with experienced programmers. So please comment. Please write it in a way that we can read it. So that's a great thought. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Great, awesome. I know. I mean, you worked with Raylan. Raylan, do you want to introduce yourself? Anything else you would like to add to?
I don't think she's here today. Also, I wasn't able to contact her while I was working on the program. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. It was basically, I mean, yourself. Okay, great. So let me make that a note. Okay, great. Sweet. So next up is a mood tracker, Francisco and Harshini. You guys are here. Awesome. Please introduce yourself, what college you go to, and if you want me to show anything or share my screen, let me know. Okay. So next up, Francisco and Harshini with mood tracker.
Hi, I'm just gonna share my screen real quick.
Go ahead.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hershini. I'm a first-year student at Ohlone College, and this is Francisco.
Hi, yeah, my name is Francisco Coronado. I'm also a first year in Ohlone College, and we just took our first C++ class together, and we were randomly in this Python like over winter break thing together, and so we decided to pair up together for our group project.
And we present to you the mood and sleep tracker. So before we start explaining our program, we just wanted to debrief why mental health and sleep are integral and intertwined. So adequate sleep is really essential for your physical and mental health to function properly because it helps you repair your body, improves your mood, and it also supports your cognitive function. And they're both interrelated because lack of sleep can contribute to a lot of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. And good mental health is also essential for maintaining healthy sleep patterns. And this also introduces our problem and our motivation.
So we felt a strong connection to this project idea because of our first year in college. We keep busy with our work and at times fall behind on our emotional and physical self-care. We felt as though this project not only has the possibility to help us, but to help our peers in Ohlone and other colleges in the future.
And we're gonna do a little live demo of our program. Okay, so this is the sleep and mood tracker program. The first function that we have is just like our simple explanation function where we just provide the user a program description. And this program is meant to help either calculate your mood and give you recommendations based on user input, or it could also help you calculate your sleep debt. So when you run the program, it first displays the program description and it asks you if you want to try out the program. And it gives you the option to select which feature you'd like to try out. And you can choose option A to try out the mood calculator and option B to try out the sleep debt. We can go with the mood calculator first. So the way this function works is that it asks you to rate your current mood on a scale of 1 to 10. So I'm just going to put 4. And since it's feeling okay, it gives you a couple recommendations to go from. And you can try again or enter 1 to quit, but this is where we kind of experienced errors.
Yeah, originally we were using a while loop function and using making start equals 0 and using that as like kind of like, oh, start equals 0, so the while loop will execute, and while start equals 0, it'll continue to execute. So we just provide an option. We were providing an option for the user originally to enter 0 or 1 to either retry or quit, but at some point it just stopped working altogether, and we weren't able to figure it out through all the troubleshooting that we did by the presentation today.
And now we're gonna run it through the sleep debt calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna enter 6 hours for day 1, 4 hours for day 2, 2 hours for day 3, 6 for day 4, and 4 for day 5, 3 for day 6, and 5 for day 7.
So the sleep debt function provides the user with a list of all the hours that they have entered, just to make sure that like it is taking in their inputs correctly. and we are summing up the total hours and telling them how long they've slept, so they can see like the hours of their sleeping patterns all put together. Through this, we then subtract like the minimum hours of sleep needed to not be in sleep debt, so that like through calculations it was like 49 hours of sleep, and we subtract the hours that they have sleep, like the total hours that they have sleep, to the 49 altogether to calculate their sleep debt.
And that's all for the live demo. So this is going to be like an explanation of our primary functions, which was the mood tracker function and the sleep debt function. So the mood tracker function was designed to help users track their mood and provide them self-care recommendations based on their input. And as you can see on the screen, that was our code for that function. So we used user input to determine the messages, and basically if the user's input is greater than 3 and less than or equal to 7, the function prints a message recommending them self-care activities that can help to maintain their mood, and that's if they're feeling okay. And if their input was less than 3, then it determines that their mood is feeling quite low, so it provides them stuff that could help them feel better. And if it's above 7, then it provides self-care recommendations based on stuff that could help maintain their progress and just help them prolong their good mood.
So the function that I mostly focused on was the sleep debt function. I was focusing on implementing an array that the user can interact with in order to put in their hours of sleep. For loop for the printing, like the reprinting of like, oh, like please enter your the first day of sleep, your second day of sleep, your third, sixth, seventh, like in that order. The use of in, because without the use of in, I would be unable to calculate what day they're on. And my use of nested branches. So the purpose of this function was basically to kind of get all the information for the sleep debt calculator like put together in one place, to like print out the information we needed without like a large block of something, like without a large block of code that like we don't need to be like there in the main function. So to begin with, I identify number list as like the array and n equal 8 as like so the reason why we identify n equal 8 is the variable n equal 8 is because if we do it if you put I in range of like open parentheses 0, n, it would go all the way to 8. So we do open parentheses 1, n, close parentheses, in order to have those like 7 days that the user can look to like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because the calculator is only calculating the week. We use another variable, hours slept, and we make sure the program reads it as an integer and allow the user to input the number they want to input. We use some number list to gather the total hours of sleep all put together in one place. And we use the variable sleep debt in order to add the list again and subtract it to the 49 minimum hours of sleep needed. And like that's where you get your calculation for the sleep debt that you've accrued over time. Using our if, elif statements and else statements, with the minimum 49 hours of sleep being like the point where like the calculator needs to calculate it. If you're less than that, it'll calculate it. But if you're above 49, it'll and in the middle of like 49 and 56, it'll give you the you are currently getting a good amount of sleep message. And else is for like if you're past 56 hours of sleep, like you're doing great, you're not falling behind on your sleeping schedule.
So some future possibilities that could be done with this program is that it could be expanded to include more personalized recommendations based on their previous inputs. And we could also integrate algorithms to predict and prevent mood swings or poor sleep. And this could also be developed into a tracker app or possibly a website.
So for our unfinished work, once again, the while loop was meant to allow the user to restart/exit option. For some reason, we encountered an error that didn't allow us to change the value of the start variable, which originally was the key to having the program restart/exit, dependent on the user's input. We didn't get an error message or anything. It just honestly wasn't going through. So we tried placing it in different positions. We tried fixing it in different ways, like the way we originally had it. Still didn't want to go through. So it's part of our unfinished work now. And then we have the graph function, which was one of the functions that we learned in class previous to today, like the day of our presentation, while we were working on this unfinished work slide. I was like, we could have implemented the function that like graphs our, like that'll graph the numbers like that we have for the list of sleep. And I feel like as though we could have like added that in and like made it a little more for the user to see visually.
And that's our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Great job, guys. Awesome. Any questions from our guests? I personally might have a lot of sleep debt. I try hard to not
well, this is a calculator for you. Appealing to our audience. What can we say?
That's the comment I would also make is, yeah, unfortunately, the software engineering world does produce a lot of sleep debt, and it's important to pace yourself. So I don't have comments particularly about the code or whatever, but the application of this is, or the idea behind, okay, you know, just track your sleep and sleep well, is a very valid use case for source software engineers. Thank you.
Thank you. That was kind of, well, STEM majors were sort of our target demographic for this after seeing how first semester went. So yeah.
We really wanted to take into consideration like the people like in those fields that don't have time to like kind of worry about the things they should be worrying about.
Awesome. Great job, guys. Great job. So thank you so much. So next up is Janice with the text-based adventure game. And that basically would be our midpoint here. I know we are at 10:24 right now, so we will run a little over. I hope Devang, that's okay with you, and folks, you can stick around a little longer. We will run maybe half an hour over our time here.
Weber, it should be okay with me, but if you don't mind, I'll take a very quick break to call people here. It is evening here, and the kids are waiting, eating somewhere, so I need to check if I can.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so okay, that's also a good time because I think we can we'll how about we take a couple minute breaks and we'll get Janice set up. And then once Devang's back, we'll get started. How about that?
It sounds good to me. I'll go off now. I'll be back as soon as I finish my phone.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So let's take a bio break. We are at 10:25, and we'll be back at 10:30, and we'll start with Janice. Cool. And I'm going to just add a whiteboard here which says we'll be back. So people have it.
I may have to leave earlier if that's okay.
Patrick, yeah, that's completely fine. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Vaibhav.
Awesome. That's great. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, great,
Um,
awesome. If
Vaibhav,
everyone's
just
here,
quick
oh,
question.
great. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I couldn't get hold of my family there. Approximately what time do you think we're going to get done? Because
We'll probably be done. Like we'll try to. We have 6 more presentations, and we'll like 10. Sorry, 11:40. So another hour and 15 minutes, basically.
so that would be 7:45. I should be all right. I mean, that's just about the edge of how
Yeah,
long I can
yes,
stay today.
yeah.
So
We'll-
fine.
Okay, great. Awesome. So with the interest of time, we'll get started, guys, and we might limit presentations to 10 minutes. So let's get started with Janice. Janice, you're up next. I am going to close the whiteboard and you can share your screen, or let me know if you want me to share.
Hi, everyone. I can share my screen. Thank you.
Go for it, and introduce yourself, what college you are at. That would be awesome.
So first of all, my name is Janice Morales. I'm from Santa Ana College, and you should be able to see my screen right now.
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I did a text-based adventure game. The game story is basically set as a horror suspense theme, or I tried to do it like that, where the player is the protagonist of the story. The player is an explorer, and we must escape a cave with different tunnels and different pathways, which lead either to freedom, the exit, or a death. The player will encounter different scenarios and monsters, and will even get the chance to gain a weapon if they access the tunnel where the weapon is at. My motivation to do this project, or why I decided to do this game, first of all, I wanted to do something very simple, since this program was my first interaction with Python or any programming language at all. And I wanted to do something fun, something related to art, since and in the introduction that we had of the program, we were gonna do something related to art and creativity, and I really liked that, so I still wanted to do something related to that, and something not too complicated. So first of all, because art is necessary in everything. Also, every game is a healthy brain stimulation, and of course, it's very fun. So this is the game. Basically, first we have kind of like an introduction of where we are at. It says, you're a devoted famous explorer. For your latest journey, you have decided to visit the catacombs of Priscilla in Rome. Here you were promised of great treasures and unforgettable experience. However, during your exploration, you were knocked out. Now, finally awake in complete darkness, you're lost, but no worries, you always find a way. In order to get out, you have to choose which path to take. Keep in mind, there are multiple directions to find a way out or stay here forever. Before all, let's start with your name. And I don't know what happened. It works. Okay. All right, let's do this again. Okay, so I don't know why it's not working. I inspired myself with different text-based games. All of them are something related to horror or suspense. There we go. So May Favorite Be With You. As soon as you start walking, the darkness of the catacombs start to make you nervous. Now you're at a crossroads and you can choose to go down any of the 4 hallways. Where would you like to go? So basically all of the options are left, right, backward, or forward. Depending on where we at in the game, it depends. So right now I'm gonna go left. And it says, in complete silence, you see a dark shadowy figure appear in the distance. You are creeped out and cannot wait to get out. Where are you going next? I can go right. You see a camera that has been dropped on the ground. It is almost in perfect shape. However, the lens is shattered. Someone has been here recently and dropped the camera in a hurry. You wonder what it could have been. Where you like to go? We go forward. If we go backwards, we go back to where we were. And it's done. You made it. You found an exit and now can live happily ever after. The game loops by itself. It will start again. I just stopped it. And yeah, so that's it. Okay, so I basically separated all the different tunnels or pathways you can do into different blocks. The introduction is always the same depending on where the user wants to go. It would either go back to the intro or it would go into the different scenarios. So the first part, which is what we encountered, is the shadow figure. Also is the same as again, depending on what the user chooses is where it's going to go. The second part, which is kind of hidden, which was the camera that we found, it's the easy exit. The fastest way to get out is using this way. But then also, if we go, instead of choosing left, we would have gone right, we would have gone to the creepy noises part. Which in this scenario, we are going to get the final boss at the end of the game, or we can get killed, depending on what the user chooses. This is another part. This is where we also can find the knife, which is also an option. It doesn't always appear. And then the final part, which is where we fight the monster. If we get the knife beforehand, we're able to win if we fight the monster, or we can run away to not fight the monster and we can go to the exit. Or if we didn't have the knife and we choose to fight the monster, we die. It's a very simple code. I only use the functions are defined here, and then if sentences, else, and that's basically it. In the future, I would like to do a more elaborate game, a longer game with much more options to do, more confusing in its pathways, so it isn't that predictable. Once you play the game or twice, you already know where to go. Also images that maybe can accompany the play, that can basically create or more immerse you more into the game, because right now it's just the text. And then a library with multiple text-based games. So maybe more like a website or an app where there's different type of games. This right now is just only one, but I really enjoyed making this one. But yeah, and that's all. Thank you.
Great job. That looked great. Text-based games are always fun to play, at least for me. Also, thanks for redoing the code and making sure the functions are well named and such. So thank you, Janice. Any questions for Janice? Okay. Great, awesome. So we'll continue. Next up is a readability index. Caroline and Justin, feel free to introduce yourself and share your screen. Go ahead, Caroline and Justin.
Hi, my name is Justine, and I actually go to Ohlone College. And I'm Carolyn, and I go to Central New Mexico Community College. So me and Carolyn worked on making a code on the FOG readability index. slide.
It's not going. I apologize. There it goes. Sorry.
No problem. The readability index text, it tests writing and estimates the years of formal education needed to understand that text on the first attempt. It was developed to make newspaper articles more accessible, and their goal was to lower the level, the reading level, and broaden the audience. Hold on one second, sorry.
It's always when you're presenting, someone shows up at your door. Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
happens.
So the thing we need to accomplish with our code were to create a code that identify a text that has 100 words. It would calculate the average sentence length by adding the amount of words, the amount of sentences, and outputting the average sentence length. Would also calculate the percentage of complex words by identifying the words with more than 3 syllables, and also creating the scale to score the word sample and identify the reading level. And then right now, Carolyn's going to go through our code with you.
The first thing we obviously have to do is import the text, and we decided to make this simple so that anybody could use it, meaning that we decided to go ahead and just let the user paste their text in. So I'm going to give you an example. Oh, except I have not. I apologize. There we go. There we go. And then we count the number of sentences and the number of words. We go through, and for every word, we count the number of syllables that that word has, which requires 2 different functions. So that's the function right here that determines how many syllables are in a given word. And the next function determines, has it run through each word to do so. And then for this text, we have 18 words that have 3+ syllables. Just an aside, it's not necessarily 3+ syllables. There are certain rules for the FOG index exceptions, things that are not counted. For up here, you can see that there are some we're not supposed to count proper nouns, and we also are not supposed to count the endings of words that are ed, est, es, or ing. So those are excluded. So it's not exactly the number of syllables, it's the number of syllables according to the FOG index. And then this last part just calculates the FOG index and gives you the output along with the grade level equivalents. And then basically the rest of it is going to be the future work. As I said up here, we basically need to do a better job at figuring out how to exclude proper nouns, because no proper nouns are supposed to be included. We can also do a better job at minimizing, taking this very large bit of text for the syllable counting and turning it into separate functions that can be called. I was not able to do that at this point. And then also we have, what else do we have down here? There are exceptions. English has quite a few exceptions that don't follow basic syllable counting rules. Somebody actually has done their dissertation, PhD dissertation, coming up with that. I did not include that here, but that would be something to do in the future. And hyphenated words also are currently not excluded, and they need to be, or yes, they need to be excluded unless 1/2 of the word is 3 syllables, and then it can be counted. Okay, back to our presentation. I don't know where it went. I'm not good at this part. I apologize. Well, that's embarrassing. Is it back? Maybe not.
Not yet.
It's
Yeah, sure.
like you might have it on your screen, but the share screen option hasn't been toggled to the right. There we go, I think.
You got it?
Is it the presentation that you're
Mhm.
okay, yeah.
So this is just a nice summary of what the output will look like. This is for, I believe, the same piece of text. Another issue with the FOG index is that it only goes down to grade 6. So you basically don't have early elementary school readability scores. That would require a different index, which I would like to learn how to do that in addition to this. It would be fairly simple to do, I believe, for at least a couple of them that just require an equation. And that is it. Those are our references, and thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. This looked great. So I was just saying, and I was talking on mute, like if any of you guys want to try this on your writing, feel free to reach out and try the project. This is very useful. If you also want to think about how would you make it like a command line tool, which anyone can run using a Python interpreter, that would be great as well. So great job. And this is a great output of like 2 weeks of learning Python. So congratulations, awesome. So let me get ready. Who is next up? Sorry, I lost my browser as well. So just 1 second as I bring my browser up.
I believe me and Jessica are next.
Okay, go ahead. So yes, I got my browser back, and it is Francisco R and Jessica with Meal Finder. It helps users decide what restaurant they should go based on the diet. So go ahead, Francisco and Jessica. Please introduce yourself and what college you're from.
Okay, my name is Francisco Ramos and I'm from Santa Ana College.
My name is Jessica and I'm also from Santa Ana College.
All right, let me just share the screen real quick. So this is, can everybody see this okay?
Yep, you look great.
All right, cool, let me see. So the Meal Helper, kind of a simple program. Let me do the slideshow. And if there's ever any problems with seeing this, just let me know. But where did the idea come from? Well, I know, like myself, when I hang out with my friends, we can't really figure out what it is that we're trying to eat. And at times, sometimes there's restrictions to that based on their dietary needs. So both Jessica and I thought it would be beneficial for as a long-term project that we build something like this that helps us kind of just randomize a restaurant based off the dietary restrictions and location. And so how the code works. So we actually have 2 versions of the code. One code was the more simpler version of it, but just asking the user what restaurant they're trying to do. But Jessica had a great idea and said that we should also implement a version where the restaurant can also add themselves onto a list if they're not already on the list. And so that's the code that we're using now. The first option asks the restaurants if they meet any dietary needs, and based off those dietary needs, I'll add them to the appropriate list. And on the other hand, when it's the user, or in this case, the person trying to find something to eat, based off their dietary restrictions, it'll provide a location based off those responses. Possible options for this program. So there's many possibilities, but one thing I think I really want to work on, both me and Jessica want to work on, is to make it a web-based application. Once this becomes a possibility, who knows, we could probably collaborate with local restaurants, see if they would like to be added onto the app as like a little testing feature, a little testing period. And then, sorry about that. With enough users of the application, like eventually this could be something that eventually brings revenue. So that's one of the cool things that I thought is also a possibility for it. What we plan on working on, well, we plan on creating a web-based application so that we could test how the application actually works on the user and the restaurant side of things. And then with that being said, we'll share the code right here. So Jessica will actually share her screen and show you the code. And if I was a bit too fast, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so our code was actually very simple. So our original code just used an if-else statement to allow it where the user can say if they're vegetarian, vegan, or gluten. And based on those options, they're able to get the restaurants that comply with those certain restrictions. So if we run this, it's just a simple code that allows you, that asks you those questions, and then it'll give you your choices. And then we decided to create a second code that could incorporate how restaurants can also add in their restaurant names if needed. So based on this, we used it where they were put in a list so that we could expand our lists later on. So now it had the original function where it was based on our choices, and then it would have one based on restaurants and whether they wanted to add in their restaurant name. Based on this code, I think that something that we could also further improve is adding like images for, so this way users could better see what restaurants and what kind of options they kind of are looking at.
Awesome, guys. Is there a problem you guys wanna wait for?
What do you mean by a problem we want to wait for?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was going to ask. Leslie, you wanted to go next if possible. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sweet. Great job, guys. Thank you so much. That looked great. So cool. So next up is Leslie, to-do list. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just share my screen then. Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is, wait, let me check, reconnect. Oh, okay. Hello, my name is
As you
Leslie.
do that, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, your screen
Okay.
looks great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hello, my name is Leslie, and I'm a complete beginner when it comes to programming, so I thought that creating a basic to-do list will be suitable for me. Okay, basically the program, the problem is losing track of tasks, and the motivation is finding a way to keep track of tasks. So hence the creation of this program. Okay, basically how it works is that there are multiple options, which is add task, delete task, view list, mark task as complete, and view today's list, today's task, and quit. So there are like 6 options to choose. Let's see. For example, I'm gonna add a task, so I input 1. So let's say I had some homework last week. So 2023, 13, 20, wait, homework. Okay. I'll input the date, which was 2023. And the homework was due later today. Let's just say that. So there is added to the list. So I can view the list and it has a status that indicates that it's incomplete. So let's just say I completed my homework already. So I input 4. In the index, the task is assigned a specific index. So this is task 0. So I input 0. And then I view list again. And the status is changed to complete. Okay, if I want to delete it, I will press, let's just say I press 2. And then I input the index again, which is 0. And then I view it again to check, and it's nothing. So it's been deleted. So to quit the program, I could just input 6. And that's pretty much it. Well, a pretty basic program for a beginner like me. Okay, yeah. Oh, for future possibilities and or / unfinished for the unfinished work, I could just improve it by maybe once I learn how to make a graphical user interface, or the ability to transfer data from PC to the phone or other mobile devices, and import, export data like on the PC. So that's pretty much it.
That's great.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Quick question for you. So, you have like, in terms of like, functions you've used and, how you've saved. I know we talked about, adding today's task, and you added them. So that's great. If you were to add one more function to it, what's the next function you're going to add?
One more function. Maybe like a backup option if the user accidentally deleted a task. I could maybe there's like a recycle bin to retrieve it.
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
Great. Yeah, awesome. No, this is great. Just within 2 weeks, you're able to do this. This is great. This is perfect. Keep on working on more projects. Keep on progressing. Great job.
All right.
Great job, Leslie.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Next up is Kaylin, Dice Roll Simulation. Please introduce yourself and what college you're from as well. Kaylin.
All right. Yeah, my name is Kaylin Williams. I go to Laney College in Oakland.
Correct.
And this is my project. It's just a basic text based dice roll simulation. I try to use a various range of different things that we learned in the class, but let me run the program to start. So it starts off by asking you to roll the dice, and then it pretty much just keeps repeating that. It's out of 6 because I only did it to use 1 die. And then once you roll it again, once you roll it once after you start it, it asks you, do you want to roll again? And you can type in Y for yes, or you can type in yes to do it again. And it just keep repeating that process. I wanted to put a graphical interface in here, but I couldn't really figure out how to get it on the Google Colab. I'm more familiar with the idle, the Python idle. So it was a bit different. And on there, I know how to get the graphical interface working. But so that's what I plan to do after. But so I just did the import. I used the import, made sure I started up with the input to ask the user, did he want to start the game? And then once I set that, I used the if statement to set that equal to start. And then I just made it out of 6 with the list. And then I made sure I used the random function to kind of make it out of those 6 numbers. And then I just defined the function and put all of the information in.
Awesome.
0 at the end, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's great job. Perfect. That looks good. I'm going to ask, do any of our guests have questions for Kaylin? Great. Kaylin, I know, like you mentioned, you are familiar with IDLE. So this is, and the next thing you want to try to do is kind of use this in IDLE. So when you actually end up doing that and using this in IDLE, or if you have issues in getting that to work, please let me know. You can use our Discord and let us know when you're able to do that. That'll be great. Awesome. Okay. Thanks. Cool. Thanks. So I think next up is rock, paper, scissors, Hasiel and Celeste. Hasiel is not able to share the screen. I'm happy to share the screen for you guys. So let me open it up. Okay, go
I
ahead.
also want to mention that I haven't been able to reach Celeste, and I don't think she's here.
Okay, no worries. Okay, let's do rock, paper, scissors. I'm gonna open this one and share my screen. Just 1 second. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, and then Hasiel, you want to talk to it? Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. I'm Hasiel. I go to ELAC. And so I chose to create a program that is able to play rock, paper, scissors, mainly because I kind of enjoy the game. As a kid, like your friends, you'll play rock, paper, scissors, either to like make decisions or like just to like beat each other, or just to solve arguments. You'd see who'd win by who won rock, paper, scissors. And so, I thought that rock, paper, scissors is like just kind of a game where you can help you like decide things in a very simple way. Like, for example, if you want to decide what to eat, like you would have 2 options, whether you win or lose. You would find out through rock, paper, scissors to decide. And so I thought it would be a good way for people to make decisions just by letting fate decide, or if they simply wanted to kill time by trying to best a computer. So as you can see in the code, so the code is just rock, paper, scissors in Python. It defines a function, which is the play rock, paper, scissors, which plays the game. First, the function creates a list of options, which would be rock, paper, and scissors. And then the function uses the random choice function to randomly choose the computer's move from the list of options. After that, the function lets the user enter their move by using the input function. This function takes input from the user and stores it in a variable called user choice. Then the code checks whether the user choice is valid, whether it's within the options. If it's not, then it will say an error and tell the user to input another. Then once the user has inputted the choice, the code then compares the user's choice with the computer's using the if-else statements. If they're both the same, it's a tie. If the user's choice beats the computer's, the user wins, and so on. Finally, the code prints the game's result and the computer's choice. And so this allows the computer to play against the user. It uses basic input-output commands and control flow statements to this. in the future, I would like to make it loop and have a continuous game of rock, paper, scissors, but unfortunately I didn't have the time to do that since I had to deal with some stuff. But yeah, and I also wanted to make it track the total wins and losses maybe. And perhaps code it so that a computer plays with another computer, or add even more options that people can have, like people used to do when playing rock, paper, scissors. And yeah.
Awesome, great. Let's play the program. Someone pick a choice here, or maybe Hasiel, you pick a choice.
Paper.
All right. Okay, there you go. So it's a tie. Great job. This is great. Thank you for persisting and actually completing the project, as well as this. The way you've written this function is great. The naming is good. You could improve it by adding adding a little bit more functions, like your if statement here is a little too long. So as a matter of as a rule of thumb, as you want to have your code kind of end at this line. You see here that line, so you probably want to have a new line after here. I'm just showing it on my screen. But great job. Your code looks great, and the choice of the game is also good. Continue working on. If you do anything new, feel free to let us know on Discord. And if you need help with anything, please reach out. Great job. Awesome. So I think I'm going to stop.
Vaibhav, I'll make a comment on this and a few
ahead.
presentations that I've seen on the style, especially.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just going to tell the folks here that actually in a lot of environments now, this is a very forgiving environment. In a lot of environments, there will be a style guide, and it will be enforced by the environment that you're working with. And thankfully, sometimes it will auto correct the style guide on the code. For example, you don't need to go beyond that vertical line. So the formatter will actually do all the work for you. So, Python code tends to be formatted very nicely. It's designed to be read. And it's more stricter rules than other languages. But so far, I'll just say one thing. Every project has very good readability compared to what I've seen in so many code bases. So congratulations all of you so far.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devang. So we'll move on to the last presentation. It's a math formula by Jason. Jason, please feel free to introduce yourself and mention what college you're from as well.
Hi, yeah. So my name is Jason. I'm from Santa Ana College, and my program here is actually a kind of a random calculator, I guess. I didn't really have like a set direction of like a certain type of math that I wanted to do. Here, let me go ahead and share my screen and turn on my video. Okay, and then let's do Visual Studio. Are you guys able to see this? The code here? Okay, cool. I originally made this like with a little bit of help from my brother in what was it, Atom, but I imported it over to VS Code and just came up with all of the logic and basically he just helped me with like formatting it and making it cleaner. But let's see. So my motivation with this project is a simple helping tool for people who need a way to check their math. Because like last semester, I was actually struggling a lot with calculus. So I found that using calculators online to check my work once I was done with it was actually like a huge help. And so, I was just kind of inspired by that to make this project. So this project has 3 different kind of calculators that you can use. The first one is the Pythagorean theorem. The second one is the quadratic equation. And the third one is calculating the derivative of a single term. So Unfortunately, it doesn't handle polynomials, but that's another thing that I'll get to in a bit. So right here, there is a menu that displays choices. You can choose a function to try, and it'll display for the user that there is a choice from the Pythagorean theorem, the quadratic formula, and the derivative of a single term. In order to do some of the math for this, particularly in the quadratic equation and the Pythagorean theorem, I had to import a square root from the math library. So right here, if we go into the Pythagorean theorem, it says this. It kind of explains for the user what it does, and the user inputs length of side A and length of side B, and following the Pythagorean theorem, side C is outputted by square rooting a squared plus b squared. Now for the quadratic equation, right here, it again explains for the user, and then it prompts the user to input a first coefficient, a second coefficient, and a third coefficient, just like the quadratic equation needs. So following the quadratic equation, we receive one x value, which is negative b plus the entire rest, and then we also have a second value where it's negative b minus all of the rest. So right here's just kind of the logic behind it. It's just I decided to do 0 minus b instead of like just so that I would be able to easily do negative b, and then it's plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and then all of that over 2a. Now I print that. Oh, whoops. Now I print that the x value is equal to the value that is stored in x value 1 and the value that is stored in x value 2 after we do the math. So the third calculator right here is the single term derivative calculator. And I was originally trying to do a like full polynomial derivative calculator, but that's actually like a really kind of lofty goal at this point in the program. I'm still relatively new to programming, so it's kind of difficult for me. So right here, again, explains for the user, and then you go ahead and input a coefficient. So right here, it says like this can calculate for the derivative of like 5x squared or z to the third power, z cubed. So it first asks the user to input a coefficient, so it'll be like our 5, and it checks to see if the coefficient is less than 1, because our program cannot run any coefficient that is less than 1. So for the variable, the user just inputs the variable that would be like x or z. Ideally, I would like to fix this in the future so that it would be able to only take a character, but I was not able to figure out how to only receive a character from the user. And then another while loop to check a case. Right here, it asks for the power, and it tells the user that if there is no power, just input a 1, because anything to the first power is just itself. And then it says that if the power is less than 1, to please put an integer value greater than 0. Ideally, I would like to also include the ability to do 0 in the future, but it's a little bit difficult because then it takes out the variable. So right here's my calculations and output for the single term derivative. So it says right here, the derivative of the coefficient, or rather, sorry, the coefficient of the derivative would be the power times the coefficient, just as a derivative demands. And then the derivative power is the power minus 1, just like the derivative demands, it's n minus 1. And right here we have another if statement, where if the power is less than 1, then it's simply the coefficient, just as, if the power is less than or equal to 1, the derivative would be just the coefficient, as a derivative follows, where it's like, say it's 3x, then the derivative is 3. Otherwise, we just move on as normal with power is n minus 1, and the derivative, and the coefficient is power times the original coefficient. So to get an example right here, let's see. Let's go ahead and start debugging. So let's say, for example, the quadratic formula, because I do want to showcase something where it does fail. So we're going to do it normally first. If I input coefficient A as 1, and then coefficient B is 5, let's put coefficient C as 2. So it calculates that x is equal to negative 0.43 and also equal to negative 4.5, which I did test this yesterday, and it does actually work as proper as necessary. But let's go ahead and run it again. Let's go ahead and do something that doesn't work. Say we make all of them 5. So it's unable to find this because I don't have the ability to calculate for imaginary numbers. When we get to the square root of b squared minus 4ac, if 4ac is larger than b squared, it can't handle it because it's the square root of a negative number. That is ideally something that I would like to expand on in the future and be able to do, but that does require a lot of weird math, or at least I would assume. Aside from that, let's see. I would like to add trigonometric functions to the Pythagorean theorem calculator. We can go ahead and run that real quick. Start debugging. Let's go ahead and do 1, and then we can do a very easy trigonometric identity, which is if you do 3 and 4, the side must be 5 for the hypotenuse, and yep, it says side C is 5.0. Say we wanted to do the derivative calculator. We can do 3, and then let's say 5x squared should be 10x to the first power, right? So the coefficient is 5, x, and then the power of 2, and there we go. Right here, it's 10x to the first power, the derivative. So yeah, my to-do list would ideally be to add trigonometric functions to the Pythagorean theorem calculator. So say sine, cosine, and tangent. To overhaul the quadratic calculator to allow for imaginary numbers, to expand the derivative calculator to allow for polynomials. And beyond that, sort of like really lofty goals would be to make the calculator more robust by allowing the user to exit at any time, and then make an application for it to be classroom applicable. For example, allowing a teacher to dump an answer key online via this calculator to reduce the bulk of open tabs in a browser. Say like you had to use this calculator, but then you had to cross-reference with on Canvas, a teacher's answer key. It can get kind of overwhelming when you're doing a lot of math, or at least I found that to be the case when I was doing math this semester in my calculus class. So for it to kind of all be integrated into one small environment would be pretty useful, I would say. But yeah, that's essentially what this does, and those goals that I have would be what I wish to do in the future. So
awesome.
Yeah,
great job, awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Any of our guests have question? Devang, do you have any question for Jason?
So I have a comment. I noticed that this code is the only one which is to use an advanced the feature in the newer Python, which is the format strings. They're very good for writing much cleaner and readable code.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you see the print with the F?
Yes, yeah. Like these strings, right?
Yeah. I mean, see, the program does what it does, and it does it well, or it sometimes doesn't do the things that you would like it to do. And a general comment on all projects here. Generally speaking, the output you're going to get from your program is based on your input, how much time you're willing to spend with it.
Right.
And in software engineering, that's literally how these decisions are made. How long is something going to take, and then is it worth it to actually do it? Most things in software engineering are doable. There isn't really something you can't actually achieve. But a lot of my comments are going to be around how you write your code and how it looks to somebody who reads it.
Okay.
Because that's important in Python. And so this was a good example of something that really does make it more readable. So that's good. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I actually did not know about these types of strings until yesterday, because I was trying to kind of do it in a wonky where it's like one string and then the input and then another string. And then my brother was just like, no, please do this. It'll make it a lot more legible.
Also, you had outside help, so that's not fair.
Yeah, he goes hard on me though. He only does like he only helps me out if I'm like really doing something a little bit kind of wonky. But besides that, he essentially puts the load on me for like all the heavy thinking, which I enjoy. You know, I think that's the better way for me to learn.
That's great. That's great to see.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate it. And continue the work.
Thank you so
Great
much.
job. Great job. Awesome.
you.
Sweet. So we got we have a hard stop at 11:45 and we are at 11:20 right now. We are going to jump right in to the next set of things we want to do. Thank you everyone for presenting today. Everyone who presented today, and I'll share my screen here in a minute. Everyone who presented today, as well as people who've completed all the assignments, will receive a certificate which you can share on your LinkedIn, as well as print it out. It's a digital certificate. I'm just going to share my screen to show the certificate to you guys, but I also want to say, like, kind of consider this as, us giving you the certificate for completing the course. So thank you everyone for being part of it. Continue your Python journey.